everyone. I'm Mirela Ciobanu, lead editor with The Papers, and we are live at EIC, the European Identity and Cloud Conference 2026, where I'm about to speak with Nishant Kaushik. I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yes.
Chief Technology Officer from FIDO Alliance, who is going to talk more about FIDO Alliance and achieving digital trust in this age when everybody talks about the AI. And actually this morning I've been to a presentation on quantum computing. So it seems that we need to get ready for many things that will happen.
Yes, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, indeed. So Nishant, happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Can you please tell us a bit about yourself, your professional background, and how does it tie into FIDO's Alliance mission?
Sure. So thank you for having me. I've been in identity for a really long time, and as you said, there's a lot going on. And so it's an exciting moment to be in the FIDO Alliance because the FIDO Alliance really brings together a lot of the different aspects of identity that I've been working on through my career. I've mostly been on the product side in architecture and strategy, and basically been CTO for a number of startups, also been in large organizations, mostly on the identity side, initially in workforce, then switching over to consumer. And through that, I've been really focused on really the challenges of making identity easy to use, both for enterprises as well as tackling the end user experience and end user requirements. And so the opportunity to do that within the FIDO Alliance, where you can actually have a very broad impact in how these technologies and standards are being used, as well as how adoption in the market actually progresses, and you can really build this notion of trust in the ecosystem, is lined up with the passion that I've had all along. So the fact that the FIDO Alliance is this large consortium of so many different organizations that are working in identity and security, ranging from the large platforms all the way down to small startups that are really trying to tackle this challenge across the industry, is really exciting. And as you said, there's so much going on. It's an exciting moment to be in there.
Yeah. That's nice that I noticed you have this various experience working through different phases of how the concept of identity and digital identity evolved, complemented both by working in the enterprise and consumer-facing industries and size of the companies. So with all this rich experience, and because you mentioned this idea of building digital trust, I was curious, when you think about trust, both in physical and digital world, what does it mean to you?
So trust really boils down to the fact that technology should just work, right? It should work when you need to use it. You should be able to rely on it. It should work in a way that you expect it to work. It should be fair. It should be easy to use. And when it should not fail you when you need it the most, right? So whether it's in the physical world, like when you go to purchase something at the store and you use your credit card, you expect it to just work. And if it doesn't work, that it can be really damaging to the experience, and that can damage your trust in a brand. We see so often that if you try to use something and it doesn't work, people will just not go back, right? And same thing in the digital world, like when you want to log into a service, if your login fails, for example, eventually you might just not go back. If you're on an e-commerce site and you're trying to purchase something, and for whatever reason it fails to let you create an account, you'll just abandon your cart. You may not even go back to that website anymore. So trust becomes a really important thing in order to make the ecosystem work, in order for people to engage with the services, both in digital and physical.
So in a way, you described the worst case scenario and the best case scenario where digital trust and digital identities and solutions work. Now I was curious if you think about the core building blocks and how, the technicalities behind what are these building blocks?
So the building blocks for trust really boil down to addressing those points regarding what creates trust in an interaction. So first and foremost, in order for it to just work, you need things like compatibility, interoperability. You need resilience and reliability, where things, as I mentioned, will work, especially in challenging conditions, right? You want things not just to work when you're in the happy path, but you also want things to work when you're in the unhappy path, when things have failure conditions or you have emergency conditions. So that aspect of reliability and resilience is really, really important. Obviously, choice and user choice becomes very important as well. You want people to be able to feel like they have control over their lives and their experiences, whether online or in person. And you want them to have consistency. You don't want them to have to think too much or worry too much about what they need to use where, right? When you go and engage, you want them to be able to just choose what they feel like they want to use. And from the enterprise side, as the enterprise providing the service, you want to make that connection with the user. So making sure that they understand what they're using, giving them the ability to basically having the ability to meet them where they are, how they want to engage, that becomes a really important aspect. So that's where things like standards, interoperability and certification become really, really important in order to ensure that you're able to deliver those capabilities and services to the end user.
Yeah, and now in a way you talk so about interoperability, resilience, choice for consumer consistencies. And I think these are some, let's say, strategies or core messages that business development people would like to hear. But if we think also about more, let's say, the technologists on these segments, what can you tell us about Passkeys, verifiable credential, digital wallets? How do these come together, and what role does FIDO play?
Sure. So I think one of the most important aspects has been just how much within identity standards has played a role in tackling those challenges, right? So the fact that we have built these robust set of standards throughout the industry, whether it's within the FIDO Alliance working on Passkeys, or with things like verifiable digital credentials in OpenID Foundation or ISO, they're really enabling that element of interoperability, resilience, reliability, and choice. And so those technologies are really building the foundation for digital trust in the identity community, right? Because they basically bring together the best of all those elements, with both from a standardization perspective, the ability to have them be certifiable, and through certification schemes, conformance testing, and therefore enabling an ecosystem to thrive where you can have multiple providers, multiple solutions that don't lock end users into technology, don't lock enterprises into vendors, and can work at a global scale with reliability.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about some developments happening, coming from FIDO Alliance happening in the banking space and in e-commerce, because most of our target readership is in this area of financial services, and they are interested in where do they start this journey with FIDO Alliance, and what's it in for them, and how difficult is it to implement the standards?
So I think the ability for financial institutions to leverage these is actually quite high. And they actually get the most to benefit. It's interesting, I was at New York FinTech Week a few weeks ago talking to a number of fintechs, and it's really fascinating to have conversations with them where some of the work that has happened within identity is stuff that they just build upon and rely upon without even thinking about it, right? Because as fintechs, they're just going out and building services, leveraging the platforms that they're building on, or the technologies that they have, whether they're building on a cloud service or they're using vendors, and they just expect it to work, and they don't have to think about the details. They don't have to build stuff from the ground up. And really that ability for them to do that is what is basically allowing them to create new services, new capabilities really, really fast. And it doesn't really matter whether you're a fintech or you're a large institution. That is a value where it allows you to move really fast and adapt really fast to things that are evolving, as we mentioned, whether it's the emergence of AI, whether it's the need to tackle fraud in account onboarding or account takeover. These technologies like Passkeys and verifiable digital credentials really have the ability to tackle these, both from the ability to really quickly roll out services where you can reduce fraud, but also you can manage costs, right? Some of these technologies allow you to roll out really good user experiences and broad adoption across the industry, while also satisfying the need to reduce fraud, reduce operational costs, because you're relying on standardized capabilities that don't require a lot of custom development, long deployment cycles, implementation cycles. If you think about the benefits one of the benefits from using standards is a lot of the security aspects of these things, especially, which is obviously a major concern for financial industries. The security evaluations and the certification that are done by organizations like the FIDO Alliance allow the financial institutions to deploy these technologies with confidence, right? And you don't have to spend years testing out, doing proof of concepts and doing security evaluations, because you have a prior set of knowledge that you can build from. So it's really helping drive better adoption and growth. And one of the fascinating things that I've found that I've really loved is especially the focus on user experience and customer experience over the last few years. A lot of these standards have really focused on that element of things. It's been a core mission within the FIDO Alliance, is that there is no point in improving security if you're also not tackling the user experience piece, because if the user experience is bad, it doesn't really matter how good your security is. Users will either try to get around it or just not use your products at the same time. So really having that perfect marriage of security and experience has been, a really great development, I believe, in the industry.
Indeed, I remember since my beginnings with the papers, there was a lot of discussion on how can financial institutions and e-commerce provider balance the user experience with security and compliance, and the fact that the standard has its core goals achieving this balance and having the user experience as a top priority. It's a step forward for the whole industry.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's been fascinating to see that, because for a long time, I remember years ago on stage, I was basically challenging standards organizations that, we have a lot of really smart people in the room developing these standards and specifications, but you don't have user experience designers involved in standard development. You don't have user experience testing as part of standard specification development. And now within the FIDO Alliance, for example, we have a UX working group, which is specifically focused on the UX challenges that come with standards and deployments of standards. And it is a core mission from that, not just look at development of standards, but also look at things like how to provide best practices, how to provide deployment guidance that can help actually deploy these in a quick time, in an effective manner. So these have been some of the really important elements as the industry has grown to really bring this to the fore.
And since you mentioned best practices, is there a place where, I don't know, the audience can go and see actual implementations of FIDO Alliance standards and success stories?
Yes, absolutely.
Or maybe you can share one of them.
I think there's way too many to share, honestly. FIDOalliance.org is the place where you can find a lot of this information. All our white papers are there. We provide a lot of case studies. We do a lot of market enablement activities. That's one of the key pillars within the FIDO Alliance's mission is it doesn't really help to just develop the standard. You also have to enable the market to adopt those standards. So market enablement is a big part of what we do. Passkeys Central is a website that we have that provides a lot of implementation guidance and best practices to folks that are looking to roll out Passkeys. And we're looking to do the same with the digital wallet ecosystem, as well as we're initiating our digital credentials work.
Great to know. And because the EIC just started, I was curious, what are some, sessions that you are most exciting of attending, or some topics that you would like to learn more during the event this year?
Sure. So, obviously happening in Europe means that there's going to be a lot of sessions that are focused on digital wallets, since that is a key part of the work that is happening across the ecosystem this year. And as FIDO has gotten into our digital credentials initiative with working on certification programs around it and looking at where the gaps are in implementation and specification. So really looking to see where the conversation is, learn about what is still needed to enable the rollout of wallets to work. That's one key element that I'm going to be looking at. And there's always an interesting policy and different perspective that EIC brings. So really looking forward to some of those being on stage, especially around things that are sort of at the cutting edge of where identity is. With, for example, there will be a talk about death and digital estate that is from the OIDF, that is really looking at some things that I think, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, digital and physical life has matured. We're starting to now see those things manifest because we now have people who are fully digital, and now we have to think about what happens when, folks aren't able to access the digital life. So, or how we help them recover, or how we help the loved ones recover that. So some of these elements are, I think, really cutting edge things that have broader implications going backwards to all the tech stack and everything that we're developing. And I tried to go as long as I could without mentioning AI, but AI is definitely having an impact. And the fact that we have to deal with a completely new interaction pattern in our enterprise systems and our consumer systems is definitely going to have an impact. And so I'm really excited to see what people are thinking about there, because it's a very nascent space. So right now there's a lot shifting and there's a lot of conversation going on. And we've just started our agentic authentication technical working group as well. But I think we're entering this stage where folks are now shifting from experimentation and just quickly trying out different things to moving into, we need to start using these tools, but to use these tools, we need some stability around the security models, the operational models, the architectures. And so we're now moving out from, let's just throw something in together and see if it works, to now, okay, what are the standards and specifications, security tools we need to actually now deploy it with confidence.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Nishant, for this engaging conversation. And I look forward to continue the discussion maybe next year about this agentic authentication, since it's a very topical subject now.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.